Mhm, mhm. What's up, everybody? Trey Griggs here, Beta Consulting Group. It is Thursday, and you are here for episode 67 of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership, powered by Beta Consulting Group. Very excited to have you guys here. Jennifer already jumping in the comments. Love that. Thanks for being here. Great to have you watching this show today. We got a great show today. Can't wait. We've had a fabulous lineup this week already, and we're going to have a great week next week as well. But tomorrow, make sure you come back at 10:30 for tomorrow's episode. We got Steve Cox from Steam Logistics on. We're going to be talking about non-competes and how he's grown his company to almost $1 billion in revenue without taking any private equity. Not everybody, and it's not everybody's flavor. So we're going to talk about that with him tomorrow. It's going to be a great show. But today we got an awesome show as well. However, before we bring on my good friend Josh Brees and what we're going to talk about today with him, take a moment and check us out over at betaconsultinggroup.com. We'd love to work with you on your strategy, your messaging, your content creation. If you want to create a podcast, we'll help you with that, your social media strategy, all of that. It's all about building your brand and the value of what that will bring. So check us out over there. Fill out a form. Let us know you're interested, and we'll follow up with you. And we also need to give a quick shout out to our friends over at TAFS. These are the good guys in freight factoring. They're helping companies with their cash flow, helping carriers and asset-based companies have all the resources they need to truly thrive in any market, especially as things start to fluctuate a little bit right now with fuel prices and rates changing. They're helping carriers with their fuel discounts, their tire discounts, all those good things. So check them out at tafs.com or click on the link that's going to be in the comments of the show from Morgan. You click on that link, it's going to go directly to my landing page, and they'll know that I sent you over there. So also, I got some peanuts in my mouth, so I'm going to be making some weird noises here trying to get them out because, I try to do stupid stuff at the beginning of the show, and this one may have backfired. So anyways, let's go ahead and get the show started today. I want to bring on this guy who's doing a tremendous job of building a brand that many of you are probably familiar with. And we're going to talk about how he's done it, what he thinks about, what he's focused on, those types of things. So everybody, please welcome to the show my good friend, Josh Brees. Josh, what's up, brother?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Short week, so we're plugging away here, and I do appreciate you having me on, sir.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, for everybody who doesn't know who you are, and if somebody's on social media and they're in transportation, they probably know who you are. But for everybody who doesn't know who you are, just a quick 30 seconds of who you are, what you're doing over there at Freightvana.
Yeah, Josh Brees. I oversee director of recruiting and content social media here. 9 years in the industry. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary today here at Freightvana, so it's kind of fun that it fell on this specific date with you, Trey. So once again, I appreciate you hosting us here.
Man, that's huge. 1-year anniversary. I feel really honored and really excited to be with you guys because I know it. I mean, in only 1 year, you have built a brand that people know, that people recognize your logo. They understand some of the initiatives that you guys have with the One Tree Initiative and some of those types of things. Yeah. But what's interesting about all that is that you are not, you don't have a marketing background. Like that wasn't necessarily what you did before you were slinging freight and doing leadership things and some things like that. And you stepped into this role at Freightvana. Talk about that transition and what are some things that really helped you kind of get your feet wet and figure out, the landscape of marketing and building a brand.
Yeah. So yes, to your point, no schooling, nothing marketing, nothing in content. Started a little over 10 years ago at our previous employer, and started in operations. Kind of got my teeth wet there. Kind of started going in through the Southeast and managing my book of business in that area in Tennessee. And then progressively started to fall in love with the industry. Truly, just finds a niche, something that I truly enjoyed. And from there, it just started snowballing into bigger and better things throughout my career. When we were with Knight Swift, I oversaw our Midwest team, so Chicago all the way down into the Texas region. And then from there, just kind of started looking into some of the inefficiencies that we were experiencing from on the logistics brand that we were part of, and moved into the recruiting aspect of things with Shannon Breen, our CEO. So we had some needs, and we kind of focused there, and I jumped into that and fell in love with that as well. I enjoy meeting new individuals. I enjoy kind of giving them an opportunity to see exactly what we have to offer from an industry perspective. And from that, it kind of just, I sat in that role for about 2 years. And then June of last year, June 1st, we started Freightvana. Shannon and 22 of us, and our other co-founder, John Gamero, we started up, and we started building the walls, and director of recruiting was my title when we first jumped into this. Didn't really have anybody that was kind of managing the social presence, so I kind of threw my hat in there, just because I've always been active growing up. I've always enjoyed the aspect of photography and content and all that stuff. So Shannon gave me the green light for that, and that's kind of how we're in today's situation of the Freightvana brand.
So I want to back up before we talk about anything marketing related, because Shannon's been on the program. He's a phenomenal leader. You got a great core group there. Talk about what was attractive to you to come to Freightvana, because it couldn't have been the job position they were bringing you in for. It had to do a lot with the leadership, I would imagine. And yes, Chris, I agree with you. MJ is the GOAT. Love that piece behind you, man. It's awesome. But what was the attraction to come be a part of this thing with Shannon and with the leadership team?
I'm going to speak on from my side of things. Leadership, obviously, that is one of the biggest things. Been one of the biggest turning points for me in my career. Especially Shannon and I came in the same year with each other at Knight Swift. We started in 2012. He rose to the ranks very quick in terms of his leadership and what he could bring to the table. And it basically became my mentor for the last 10 years. So when the time came and I got that phone call and we had some conversations, it was a no-brainer for me of jumping on board and kind of following him, because it's somebody I look to, very much so for not only just in office, but out of office as well. And for me to be part of a brand and start creating something on our own with all of the other great individuals that we brought along with us, having that very top level experience and visibility, and learning from two of the greatest in the industry, being John and Shannon, and our other C-suite executive, Don Everhart. Those were individuals that I wanted to surround myself and just be a sponge and learn exactly what it takes to run a business, but more importantly, what it means to actually be a leader amongst all of the peers, right? And we've all had leaders and managers and stuff like that, but when it comes down to it, it actions speak louder than words, and those were the individuals that I wanted to surround myself with, and the Grady bunch, if you will. That's kind of one of the big factors of why I jumped into this.
I don't think that people really appreciate the value of the leadership that they're going to work for. In fact, I think that people would be more satisfied doing a job they don't want to do, but with a leader that they are inspired by, than the opposite, doing maybe their dream job, but doing it with a poor leader. I don't think that lasts very long. I don't think people understand the value of that. It's interesting that you've that to you, that was the most important thing. It's almost like, I don't care what I have to do. I want to be part of this ride because it's you guys that are driving the ship.
Yeah, they're three big pillars in my life, and for me it was a no-brainer. Obviously, I had to get the sign off from my wife and family, and we invested a lot of time and energy into our past life. So taking a step back in terms of a lot of things, and saying, hey, we're going to create a new brand, and it's going to be stressful for the first couple of years. It took a lot, and I'm glad that we did it. Obviously, we still have a long ways to go, and yeah, we are seeing a little bit of an early success in terms of our brand and stuff like that, but no hesitations on my end for jumping on board with this.
Yeah, well, kudos to you for recognizing the value of great leadership and for having just a great team. Shannon's a great guy. I haven't met everybody over there, but I can only imagine that if everybody pretty much is kind of like Shannon, cut from that same cloth, that it's a really special place to be over there, which is cool.
Absolutely.
So let's talk for a minute about building a brand. And I talk about this all the time. I don't think that companies, especially in transportation, understand the value of building a really great brand. You've done a great job with that. Your social media presence is incredible. Your storytelling is awesome. Your presence, some of the things that you're putting out there, your initiatives that you're doing are great. What are some of those benefits that you guys have already started to experience from having a really great brand presence?
Thank you. It means a lot, and I do appreciate that. I think first and foremost, employee advocacy, kind of like what you and I were talking about, prior to jumping on, is employee advocacy is everything, especially in the social presence and everything that we kind of operate now. For us, I like to explain it to a lot of individuals of saying kind of like Amazon, right? We all go down to Amazon, we go down at the very bottom of the page and we go down to the review section. Those are individuals that are not paid by the brand, hopefully, and they're giving you an honest opinion or fact of exactly what the product is. So for us, employee advocacy is the exact same thing. We don't want to mute anybody. We don't want to silo anybody when it comes to their voice and not letting them be heard. So when it comes to the social aspect and recruiting, there's no greater opportunity for us to jump all over that of showing exactly who we are first and foremost, and it's okay that we're not for everybody and that's fine. But more importantly, want to be able to show who the individuals are that are making an impact in our industry, for the brand, for our customers, for our carriers. They're individuals, they're adults. We want to treat them like adults. And so for us on the marketing aspect, it was just kind of capturing the moments and the milestones as they occur. I have the luxury of being able to do the recruiting side and the content side because it kind of funnels up under me. But there are a lot of moments throughout the day where I kind of have to take a step back and kind of just say, hey, this is really cool. And I'm glad that I'm able to document all of these things for our people, right? First and foremost, that's who we want to make sure is taken care of. But then on the recruiting side as well, it just kind of rolls up underneath that. It's important that you show exactly what your brand is. Good or bad. You highlight a lot of the things that you're working on because that speaks and it resonates to a lot of the people that are out there that are potentially looking to make a jump into a new banner or jump into our industry for the first time. So, being truthful and transparent, one of, our two of the three pillars is something that we live by, and we want to make sure that we're doing it on all fronts. It doesn't matter if it's on our business line or on our recruiting side or our marketing side. So, it's been impactful very, very early on for us.
Yeah. So, and that employee, acquisition idea of it, like, reaching out to prospective employers who now are interested in your company because of what they see on social media. And you've positioned yourself in a way to take advantage of the market. And as an example of that, there's a company in your neck of the woods that we don't need to mention who recently had a big layoff. And, those people are looking for opportunities. And your name is one that they're going to see out there. They're going to see your presence. They're going to see, some things you did on TikTok. In fact, you just had a new employee that just did a TikTok dance. Who it was his idea, I heard, to actually do a TikTok dance. Yeah.
Yeah, Irving. He when he started with us during the process, he said, "Hey, I've seen your social. I kind of see exactly what you guys are doing out there." And so we gave him some options. Right, we have multiple ways that we can advertise our new employees. So when we started kind of going down the line of the options he can kind of choose from, he was more lines of, "Hey, I kind of want to jump into this. I kind of want to make the TikTok. I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's cool." He put himself out there, and that was the coolest part about it is that he didn't know anything about the platform. He didn't know anything about the dance or the trend or anything like that. It was, hey, how do I make myself part of the brand? And how do I become part of the team? And that was like one of the early moments for him to kind of just say, hey, this is who I am. And I'm here. I'm here to go, through the fire with Freightvana. It doesn't matter if I can dance or not, which, hey, we're still working on his dance moves a little bit, but little moments like that are important for our culture, for our people. And then to your point, outsiders looking in, they see exactly what it is, right? It's not a cookie cutter approach. It's not fake. It's not stock imagery. The traditional transportation corporate settings. We want to bring people exactly what they're going to be able to see potentially out on our floor for what it is. And if they don't like that, like I told you, that's fine. It's not for them, but for us, it's important for us and our brand.
Yeah, if anybody is not sure about what content to create, just turn the camera on with your sales team out there, or they're throwing bags or whatever, and you'll get the culture out there pretty quickly. But there's been a benefit not only from a recruiting standpoint from that aspect, but it also has impacted your bottom line. It's limited what you've had to spend on recruiting because people traditionally spend a lot of money with recruiting services and posting jobs and those types of things, and you've been able to circumvent that quite a bit by having a really strong brand presence.
Yeah. I as I told you, I've spent $0 in our first year when it comes to the.
I don't know if you want to share that or not.
No. Hey, that's transparency. That's exactly what I want. I had the conversation with you for a reason with it, because it's important to show that for a lot of brands that are starting up, or a lot of individuals that are thinking that they want to jump into something new and start their own careers or start their own identity, it's okay to go out there and not just spend bank right off the bat. You don't have to go buy the best equipment. You don't have to go buy the best cameras, the best lighting, or the best platform for your recruiting, searches. There's a lot of ways that you can get creative with things, and that's the only reason why I brought that up, is because we can do that. And we started with 22 and we've officially cracked over the 63 mark in headcount. So we've tripled in less than a year. Employee advocacy, like we mentioned, that's one of the biggest factors for getting good quality people in with us. if they're willing to put their name on somebody and bring them in-house with them, especially for a startup where we know we can't afford to miss and we have to be selective with the individuals that we want to bring on board, then you have to get creative with that. So yes, we've spent $0 on when it comes to the recruiting aspect. It's basically all LinkedIn. We have an account on Indeed, but it's not paid for. So I'm guessing all of my recs are at the very bottom of the totem pole, probably on page 12. But hey, that's another net that is out there for me to make sure that I'm not missing any good quality candidates that want to potentially bring their name into this arena. So yes, $0 spent. LinkedIn has been probably one of the biggest tools, I think, for me on my personal brand, and then also obviously the FV brand. Being able to utilize that platform, seeing exactly what it has that is at your disposal, and not going and approaching it as a headhunter by any means, but being able to just be able to connect with somebody, right? It's almost the digital resume, if you will, of being able to see exactly what their body of work is, how does it translate potentially into your business, and then from there you can just send that little DM or an email and start the conversation with them from there.
And I would assume that you would agree that it hasn't restricted in any way your ability to find really good talent.
No,
not do that.
No, if anything, it's sparked an even greater caliber, right? Because you can kind of see you follow the cookie crumbles. You see exactly what they're interacting with, who their network is. And you can kind of get a good gauge of what type of caliber and what type of product they could potentially be bringing into your arena for you.
And you're attracting people to your brand. So, it's not like they don't know who you are. You said that your new employee, Irvin, he'd been watching what you've been doing on social media. He'd seen that.
Yeah.
And so there's a tremendous ability, if you tell a good story with your brand, an authentic story with your brand, a transparent one, to attract people who want to be a part of that, want to be a part of the initiatives that you guys have, be a part of the culture that you're building, be a part of that brand, and marry themselves with that, as Irvin said earlier, or you mentioned that he said earlier. So I think there's just a ton of benefit on the employee acquisition side and retention side, but what are some other benefits that you guys have seen in the marketplace by having a really solid brand?
Well, let's just start when we met you when I met you at TIA, we've experienced a good brand awareness. Obviously, going into those types of events, typically when you're a startup, you don't really have a good presence and you're trying to get your name out there, which is probably another reason why you're on site in the first place. But I think our group has gone to about 5 or 6 this year. And every single time we went into these locations in these different states, walking on site and then them saying, "Hey, the Freightvana guys and girls," like that's really cool.
Right.
Not having to focus in on trying to explain who you are, what you're doing differently in the market, and how you're doing a different approach. That has alleviated a lot of pressure for us and our sales team and our C-suite executives whenever they do make their travels and they're meeting with new customers and stuff like that. So I think from a pipeline perspective on the business front, first and foremost with our customers and our carriers, it's massive. More and more people are integrating them into the social feeds, right? From a business perspective, from their own individual brands. If you're not on your own on a social platform with your product, you are far behind the 8 ball right now. And I think for our industry, more so specifically our industry, it's very outdated. I think we're at this new wave of old school transportation, new school transportation. We're all converging at the Y in the road, right? And so for all of us, we're all trying to figure out, is everybody going to jump on board? Are we all going to start streamlining down the same process? Or is there going to be some one-offs and people that just kind of want to hang out and do their own thing? But for the most part, this new blood is coming in and we're seeing it all over the place. We're seeing new personalities. We're seeing new characters kind of show up. The Jollies, the Freight Caviars, everything that's out there right now is so exciting to see because they're bringing a fresh wave of people into our industry. And that's important. Not just our industry. You have to pull from other industries and you have to see exactly what they're doing to attract talent, attract business, sales, it doesn't matter. So I think, long story short, I think being able to have our brand out there and constantly be in a presence is helped us get us off the ground for sure.
Well, let's clarify one thing. There's only one Chris Jolly. There's no Jollies about it. Just one. Just
the freight coach, just the local freight coach. He's here in AZ with us. He's our boy.
That's right. But one thing you said is really critical. So you said when you go to these trade shows, you don't have to tell your story. It alleviates some of the pressure. I don't think people understand the value of how easy business becomes, how much easier sales becomes, how much easier client retention becomes when you get the marketing right, when you tell the stories right, when you're communicating very well. I just don't think people fully appreciate that, especially in our industry, like you said. What are some of the things that maybe have been really beneficial that you hear from your sales team, from your operations team, that the brand is really is responsible for that?
Yeah. So perfect example, your friend Blythe, all of our friends.
Yeah,
She was out in
great.
Vegas and she ran into Lars and Don and Jesse and all of them in our sales department. And from there, it's almost like the easiest icebreaker. When you have that presence on social, they get to know exactly who are the individuals associated with your brand. So then when you do meet them face to face or on a conference call, there's no introductions necessary. The ice is broken. You almost feel like you know exactly who they are because of the presence that you promote, hopefully, with them. But I think that was a great experience for our group, going back to the Blythe thing, being able to have that type of moment with her on the floor, and Lars, who is our vice president of sales, was very, very cool because, for one, Blythe is an awesome individual in our industry and she has a great
One of the
presence,
best.
right?
Yep.
And so for us to jump on board and her to be fostering us too in that relationship and saying, hey, come on board. I know exactly who you are. I love exactly what I'm seeing. Let's just have an open conversation. Little moments like that with our sales department, and then even with our customers too. We can reach us at hello@freightvana.io. And a lot of the customers that I'm seeing kind of send in their request about, inquiries about our services when it comes to the transportation side, is, hey, I've seen your presence on social, I've seen you here on LinkedIn, and so when I see that, that's just icing on the cake, because that means I'm reaching a lot more people than I'm anticipating. So very, very cool to see that on the sales cycle. And I think, working with our group hand in hand, creating different aspects for them to go to market and make it a little bit easier for them to sell product, especially we're still a startup. I mean, we're 1 year into this whole thing, so we have a lot to prove. So they rely on the social experience to make sure that they're getting the brand off even quicker.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable, and you guys get to benefit from that. I use this example a lot. Like, I'm probably never going to meet Gary Vaynerchuk. Probably not. I'm probably not going to meet Simon Sinek. But if I did, I would feel like I knew them already because of the stories they tell and the content they put out there. But on the flip side, if anybody ever called me from VaynerMedia, I'd probably take that call. Or if anybody called me from Simon's organization, I'd probably take that call because you feel like you know them, you trust them. Like, I could learn something from them. This could be a beneficial call just because of all the work they've done. So for your sales guys, when they make a call and say, hey, this is Tom from Freightvana or whatever, and a shipper has maybe seen some things you've put out there or some posts, or a carrier has watched some content or whatever, it just makes their job so much easier. And again, that's just another benefit of getting the marketing piece right. I don't think a lot of transportation companies value that.
Yeah, and we have some flexibility, right? We're not at the level of top corporate, right? We came from a brand being Knight Swift where it was a monster. So there are limitations, and there are some of the things that you have to go through loopholes and a lot of caution tape to get something out there. So we have that flexibility, and that is at our disposal. But to your point, that shouldn't stop you from being able to create a brand and give individuals the opportunity to go and promote your brand even more on an individual basis. I think that's one of the big things that, John and Shannon from the early onset was, hey, we're going to give you guys the platform. We're here. We brought you on for a reason. We love who you are and your personalities. We're going to teach you about the business. We're going to teach you the FV way, but more importantly, just go out and be you. And then from there, everything else will kind of take care of itself. And that was very uncomfortable for us because of where we came from. That wasn't part of the culture. And 9 times out of 10, that's probably the way it is right now for all of our people in our industry outside of Freightvana. So if I was to give them one thing, I would just say, hey, baby steps, start chipping away, slow post. If that's what you're kind of looking into, if you're on the sell side, excuse me, start posting and see exactly how your corporate is responding to it or giving a response to it. Are they pushing back on you a little bit? Are they telling you to refrain from certain language? But yes, it's something that it's important to install into our early being, because this is our DNA. This is our footprint in the market right now. And we're not going to change as we continue to grow. It's part of our foundation. It was built right off of that, and it's never going to stray away from that.
Yeah, and I go back to what you said earlier. If companies are not putting their product out on social or their culture, their brand out on social, they're behind the 8 ball, without a doubt. And I would recommend for any company, maybe that's either old school or more established, however you want to call it, that they should come up with some guidelines, kind of create a sandbox for their teams and say, hey, this is our sandbox we want you to play in. Within that sandbox, have fun, go do stuff, and create some of those guidelines to make it easy for their sales team to create content or to engage.
And act on it.
Yeah.
The most important part, right? If you're going to post something out there and you're going to advertise a certain thing or a certain culture aspect of your business, and you get a brand or you get an individual in-house finally because of what they saw, and all of a sudden that rug's pulled out from underneath them and they're like, this is nothing that was being explained, then that's detrimental to your brand, because that's going to spread like wildfire across all the other candidates, all their friends, all their network. So if you're going to advertise something, I would be very cautious and make sure you're acting on it first and foremost. As weird as and as basic as that may sound, a lot of people will just throw stuff out there just to throw it out there, get that clickbait, right? And start getting some people to get on their profile. So if you are going to post it, make sure you're living it through and through.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And the other thing that you guys do really well too, and again, this is maybe some people might think this is not important, but you guys do swag really well. Yeah, the hat that I have at home, I literally wore it on. I took it on vacation. My wife's like, "Which hats do you want to take on vacation?" And that Freightvana one made the list, and I wore it. And so, you have good swag, and I think about this all the time. Swag needs to be something cool that people will actually use. It needs to be something that is practical. It needs to be well designed and well thought through, and it needs to be high quality, because this is a reflection of who you guys are. What do you think about? Do you kind of follow that checklist, or do you have your own checklist?
Yeah, no, I am. Shannon is one of the biggest divas when it comes to closet wardrobe. So that is 100% our DNA, including myself and a lot of the individuals out there. But when you create your brand and you're starting to market yourselves when the clothing aspect, or even just stickers or promotion products, or in all your new hire gear, it's important for us. We kind of took a different approach with startup. You have to be cognizant of exactly your spend. Right, so we went for more of like a boutique style. So we have our individuals bring 2 to 3 different garments in of whatever it is that they want, jackets, t-shirts, polos, whatever it is. And then we have that sent out and we get it branded with our logo and stitched up for them, just because everybody has a certain fit, certain style that they like. And then from the Freightvana hats and stuff like that, Branded Bills is a great partner of ours. We've worked with them for a lot of years. Love them. They're some of the best in the business, and Shannon's relationship with them has obviously helped us out a lot with getting this. But yes, to your point, you should probably invest into it a little bit more than what you think you should, just because it is people love just getting good, solid gear.
Good things. Yes. Not free things. Good things.
No, good things. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that says so much. I would even say to companies, it's better to have no swag than to have bad swag, because you get a polo that's not comfortable. You get a hat that doesn't, you can't shape it, or whatever that you like, whatever you want to do with it. You're not going to use it. You're not going to wear it. You're going to look at that and go, who thought of this? Who came up with that? I remember one company I went to, they got us polos, and they were the most itchy, uncomfortable polos in the world. And I was like, this is a reflection of what we think about our people and our quality and our brand. And it made an impact.
Yeah. And a lot of the times sometimes they just probably don't know what's in style or what's the trend or anything like that. But the fact that they're going out there and trying to make some type of act for them and trying to produce something for the people is important, right? That goes a long ways. But to your point, yeah, you should have some good gear and not substitute it with some crappy stuff.
Yeah, if you wouldn't wear it, I think the vacation is a good if you wouldn't take it on vacation, then it may not be the quality that you want to pass out.
With that little butterfade you got there, dude, I wouldn't be rocking any hats anywhere.
The hats are difficult sometimes. I do have people give me hats, and I'm kind of like, it's got to be really good for me to wear it, or it's on the golf course. Of course, I always wear hats on the golf course. I don't care about this on the golf course. So that's why I keep it around, which is good. How was the golf game, by the way? Pretty good.
Oh boy, the startup life is showing right now in terms of the golf game. Played twice this past weekend, and probably formed at like maybe an 8.5 right now on the handicap. So I got a lot of work to do. But our office is just stacked with a whole bunch of golfers, so I gotta keep up with them.
8.5 handicap though is better than about 95% of everybody who picks up a golf club. So you're in the top 5 percentile, my friend.
I'll take it.
For sure.
I need to get compensated on the golf course like that then.
Yeah, exactly. Now, hey, our next podcast needs to happen maybe from a golf course. I think that would be a nice, enjoyable podcast. Go ahead, take shots and talk a little bit. Listen, this 30 minutes flies by. I really hope that you'll come back, Josh, and be with us again.
Hey, I appreciate it very much. And what you're doing with the Beta Consulting Group and everything out there when it comes to the conventions and the trade shows and all that stuff, man, I love seeing your face out there. You're making a presence as well. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll make sure that the FV squad is supporting you along the ride as well.
Man, I appreciate that. That means a ton. Excited for this weekend. Are you guys getting a chance to go to the TMSA this next week?
I don't believe we're going to have anybody there.
We need to get you involved in the organization, because what you guys are doing is exactly what needs to happen with the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association. So I'll get you connected with Jennifer Carpus-Romaine.
Shout out Jennifer, our girl.
She's awesome. And everybody else who's watched, thanks so much for the comments and for being a part of it. By the way, Dan Penrod wants to know if that's a new office. I think you guys do have a new office.
No, this is Shannon's MJ poster here. I'm in his office because I'm on the floor and it's a little loud, so I didn't want to ruin your podcast here. So yes, good call out. This is Shannon's MJ.
Nice. Well, he said great job. So thanks for watching, Dan. Appreciate that. And everybody else, make sure you come back tomorrow at 10:30 for a great interview with Steve Cox from Steam Logistics. Shout out to our friends over at TAFS. Appreciate their support. And again, Josh, always great to talk to you, man. Look forward to seeing you down in Arizona when the weather cools and we can play some golf. It'll be a lot of fun, man.
Later, brother. Appreciate it.